Okay, we are here on Down Pepper Tree Lane, and Marganon is back with us. Today is a free-for-all. I'm going to throw topics out at you, and you got 90 seconds. Give me your all. Give me your best and your worst. Whatever, okay?
All right.
The Knack.
Hey, great power pop band from the 70s. They drew from all the best influences, like, you know, the Raspberries and the Sweet and all that kind of thing, but put their own updated spin on it. They had the skinny ties. Of course, that was kind of taken from the Beatles, but they updated it. They probably were the definition of a skinny tie band, of which there were many in the late 70s and early 80s, and they were pretty much definers of or redefiners, perhaps is a better way to say it, of a whole genre.
Okay, the album Tusk.
Bloated, overblown, not a kind of an attempt at being progressive.
Fleetwood Mac.
Well, of course, yeah. Fleetwood Mac, yeah. Fleetwood Mac was a band, a soft rock kind of mediocre, schmeary soft rock band that we hated as the punk scene. We hated back then. And Tusk was the perfect example of everything that was wrong with that kind of music back in the day. A lot of people protested the fact that it was released as a double album, but they were charging it as if it were two separate full albums, as opposed to getting the discount that you'd usually get on a two-album set. It made a lot of people angry. Yeah, it was not, and yes, the songs on it weren't that bad. I mean, it was pretty creative and novel in the fact that they used the USC marching, USC, right? Using the USC marching band. That was kind of a new thing that no one had done in rock and roll, really. So, you know, I'll give them props for that, but nah, overall. Nah.
Okay. Sean Cassidy goes new wave.
Well, here's what I can tell you about that. Whenever they put Todd Rundgren on the production job of anybody, you know that they're kind of going down the tubes. I mean, no pun intended, because he did that with the Tubes too. He actually resurrected the Tubes, but then when they started going down, they also brought him in as kind of the finisher, which they always did. I thought it was all right. I thought it wasn't his best album. You're talking about the album Wasp? I assume. Right, yeah. I didn't think it was his best album, but it was kind of I have it just because it's kind of an amusing curiosity.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, first video game you played?
Oh, I think it was the Atari. That little, you know, home unit Atari. That the first, it was Pong.
Was it Pong?
No, it was Pong. It was
exactly.
Pong. And that was in Jerry's Orange O. Jerry's. I remember Jerry was the first guy on the block to have a restaurant, a little burger shack that we all ate at when we were in junior high school. We had very good burgers and excellent orange, like Orange Julius type drinks, called an Orange O. And he had a secret formula that we're still trying to figure out.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it was Pong, and I remember just thinking, really, this is what, you know, the big, but it was a big deal at the time. Okay,
cool. Your memories of going to, attending the YMCA? Anything?
Yeah, always negative things. Bad things always seem to happen whenever I'd go to the Y. Either my wallet would get stolen, or somebody would berate me, or make fun of me, or cheat me out of my turn at the pool table, or, you know, I tried to take judo there a long time ago, and that was I remember a girl that was about 2 years older than I. They would have the kids try to teach each other how to do judo. Yeah. And this girl would go, "Why do I always get the hard guys?" when they'd assign me to her. You know, so no,
thumbs down on the Y.
Not I mean, it's good that it was there, and I also learned how to swim there, so I can't completely down it, but not my best.
It was a big thing at the time.
Yeah, and I have a cousin that works for them, so I shouldn't say too much. But
okay, the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, yeah, well, you know, how many Pat Benatar clones can there be in one high school? I mean, it was a fairly accurate rendition of things that you would find in a high school in the 80s, but a little bit overly glorified, a little bit overly fancified, perhaps would be a better word. You know, it was a cute movie.
It dealt with abortion.
Yeah, it did. That's true. It was a cute movie. I think that Robert Romanus missed a huge career, maybe because of that movie. It both made him and broke him.
Right.
Because the only thing I can remember he did after that was he played Snake in The Facts of Life, Natalie's evil boyfriend that was only interested in her for sex, supposedly. Which kind of is an odd choice. So Natalie, I like her because she's Jewish and she's got big boobs, but other than that, she's not your typical glamour queen. But anyway.
All right, Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster is an actress that I have a hell of a lot of respect for. I recently saw her in Taxi Driver, and that was, wow, that was amazing. I thought Taxi Driver was a little bit, it was a good movie, but too sensationalistic, a little too violent, excuse me. But I think she's an amazing actress. I've seen her in other things that I really enjoyed her in, such as The Little Girl That Lives Down the Lane. I also am looking to replace my VHS copy of Foxes with a Blu-ray or DVD. So, and that was, she was with the famous runaway Cherie Currie.
It was a good movie, I thought.
It was all right.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was okay. I thought that was more like my high school experience than Fast Times was.
Exactly,
but,
yeah.
Sure, but
well, let's go right into the band Angel then.
Oh, please. Couldn't we not?
Say one thing about them.
Well, okay,
they were
Angel,
white.
Here's a funny memory about Angel. I remember that, see, I was into two things big time when I was a kid. I was into rock and roll, but mostly like bubblegum rock and roll. And I was also into electronic music. So I went to our local record store up in Montrose called Here, There, and After, where, we also bought our first bong. Okay. And I remember asking the guys there, what could you recommend as an example of electronic music? And the guy goes, oh, Angel. And something told me no. And I remember I brought it up to a bunch of my peers at Camp Fox one summer, and they just said, no, Angel, no.
We're all white, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, except there was one Latin kid in there, but yeah. Everybody was pretty unanimous that Angel was no good. And of course, Frank Zappa, I think, said it best with Punky's Whips. And so, because they weren't prescient enough to hire Terry Bozzio to play drums, so that's what they got what they deserved on that one.
Okay, the Tubes.
One of my favorite bands. As a matter of fact, I met Fee Waybill recently. Excuse me, and he actually signed a CD for me. I've seen them play quite a bit recently, and they're a great band. They're a classic band. And I asked Fee. I said, look, you guys were kind of proto-punk. You guys were kind of pre-new wave, what was that what you guys were going for? And he said, no, we were just a bunch of guys that wanted to play. And, at the time, I think their heads, he didn't say this, but I can glean that I think what they were going for at the time was they were more into progressive at the time, but they could see that things were changing. And then Fee said, we also threw in an element of performance art, which is true. So, the Tubes were definitely a band that was ahead of their times, and I have a great deal of respect for them, and I think I own just about every album they've ever put out.
Was She's a Beauty the big hit?
I love that song. If it isn't, it should be.
Right.
I think the album by them that does not get the credit it deserves is Remote Control. Again, Todd Rundgren at the helm. But he did a good job there. And then I also like one of their last albums called Love Bomb, which also Todd Rundgren produced. But you can tell that it was a contractual obligation album. There was a bit of filler in there, but I liked it. I thought there were a couple good songs like Piece by Piece. Okay. I thought that was a really good song, and it's a shame that album didn't get more respect. Okay, now when you were in junior high, this is an artist who was at his peak, so just give it to me straight. Okay. Barry Manilow. Well, at the time, I don't know where to put that, because at the time I think I was kind of into him. Adults listen to him? But... Yeah, my mom was into him, and I remember my mom asked me we were at a nice restaurant, and there was a guy playing guitar, and my mom made me run up to this poor guy and ask him to play I Write the Songs. Uh-oh. And he just kind of handled me, but of course he didn't play it. I didn't hate Barry Manilow. Even as a punker, new waver, I didn't really feel that he was worthy of my wrath.
Too easy.
I dated a woman that was actually a huge Barry Manilow fan, and I actually became one with her. And the thing about Barry Manilow that must be appreciated is that he has cred in the bubblegum world, because his first album was produced by Ron Dante, the lead singer of the Archies. And he did Bandstand Boogie, which I think is kind of a bubblegum hit. So, kind of in that genre, in that border of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually think he's okay.
All right. The album.
Oh, let me just say something else about Barry.
Sure.
Barry, a lot of people don't know this, but you learn this when you see him live, which unfortunately I was dragged to one of his concerts with a girlfriend, is that he also wrote a lot of very famous commercial jingles.
Really?
Like, I am stuck on Band-Aids because Band-Aids stuck on me.
Did he?
Yeah. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. He wrote all that. And he
had a sense of humor about it.
Yeah, and he goes through all that when he plays live. He actually has a reel-to-reel tape that he plays, and he sings along with it. It's really cool. It's like, so you realize that Barry is like an industry heavyweight. He's like a dude,
He's the melodies. Yeah, he's got it. Okay, specifically the album Kilroy was here by Styx. Just that album alone is all you can talk about.
Well, I like Styx. I like progressive rock, and I like Styx, but they played that song and that album to death when I was in high school.
When Mr. Roboto?
Oh, God, yes. I remember it. First period print shop, all you would hear is that song over and over again. It seemed like every day they'd play that.
What does domo arigato mean?
It means in Japanese, thank you very much.
Okay.
Or it literally means it was very hard to obtain, but idiomatically it means thank you very much.
What was Styx doing? What were they trying to say?
I don't know. They were just trying to be hip with the times. It was so sad watching so many artists that were huge in the 70s and had great stuff
stumble,
trying to reinvent themselves for the new wave 80s, and it was so laughable.
Wearing jumpsuits. And,
I mean, I actually thought, okay, Linda Ronstadt, for example, came out with a decent album called Mad Love. All right, we gave her a pass.
Right.
Did some Elvis Costello songs, whatever. But there were so many other artists that just didn't make it. I mean, that Sean Cassidy is a good example.
Yeah.
Dude, come on.
Right.
Nobody's going to believe that you're a new waver, please.
I think the Village people tried to go new wave.
They tried to go new romantic.
New romantic.
Which, I'm sorry. It's just, you've already established yourself as A. Nobody's going to believe you as B. I'm sorry.
It's a big jump.
Yeah.
All right, so next, Mad Magazine.
Oh, my Bible growing up got me in so much trouble in elementary school. Excuse me. I got in a lot of trouble over Mad Magazine. I don't know. It just spoke to the spirit of the times to me, and for my friends too. And they got in trouble too.
Exactly.
Yeah, I loved it though.
Welcome Back, Kotter.
It was a good show. It introduced John Travolta to the world.
For better or worse.
What I didn't know about Gabe Kaplan was that he was a stand-up comedian in his own right, and his stuff is dirty.
Oh.
It's really dirty.
Wow.
It's blue.
Wow.
He's talking about incest and all kinds of stuff.
So they cleaned him up for TV.
Well, I think he was just happy to have a job. I think he was just happy to be making records and being famous and, being known for his TV show. I think people were shocked when they saw him on TV and then they bought his records. And
very blue, huh?
Oh, it's bluer than blue.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Did you practice magic growing up, like card tricks, coin magic tricks?
I played around with it, but
did you do that?
Nobody was ever that impressed. I mean, it was all dime store magic, little cheesy kids.
Didn't a lot of kids do magic? I remember that as a kid.
Not really.
I did. Okay.
Not really.
Well, what I'm leading up to, how come there were so many magical TV shows?
Well,
you can name a few.
That's an interesting question. For example, the one with Rick Springfield, the cartoon
Mission Magic.
Yeah, Mission Magic with Miss Tickle. Cute play on words there.
Bewitched.
Bewitched, of course. I Dream of Jeannie.
Nanny and the Professor.
Nanny and the Professor, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really know what the answer is to that. I think that there may have been certain people in certain circles that were trying to sort of introduce people to the occult through media. Going to be a little conspiracy theory there.
Okay.
I think also it was a convenient way to manipulate storylines, an easy, quick and easy way to create chaos and then have to resolve it somehow.
Snap of the fingers. Right?
I mean, the Archies weren't immune. The Archies had Sabrina, you know, and that was a long-running franchise into the 90s and beyond. So who's to say? All
right. Do you have a particular episode of the Brady Bunch that stands out?
Well, yeah, I really love the one with Davy Jones. I'm sorry, that's just...
Can you sing a little bit of Girl?
Look what you've done to me and my whole world. There was a certain way he punched those words that was funny.
And what was he needed a date for the dance?
Yeah, and apparently he
happened to be in the neighborhood.
I guess his fan club wrote back to her and promised that he would sing for her prom, and then, you know, and then she actually intruded onto his space, onto his turf in the recording studio while he was recording that song. Yeah, and just said, "Oh, well, I'll just stand at the back. I won't be any problem." And they kicked her out, and he witnessed this whole. The way that she got the bums rush, and so, you know, he decided that he had to do the right thing, being a good, solid Capricorn. He had to do the right thing and you know, and come and meet Marsha personally and appear at the prom and kiss her on the cheek in front of Cindy and Bobby and the whole thing, you know. So, yeah.
All right. Out of the 6 kids, who was the best actor?
Eve Plum.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eve Plum was
drama queen.
The only well, sure. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, was she my favorite Brady? Not necessarily, but I thought she was the best actor. She was the only one that came in with experience. She, of course, another one of my guilty favorites is Family Affair, and she was in that show too. She was in a one-shot where. She played a very sick little girl that Buffy befriended and dies in the episode, which is quite tragic.
Okay.
But, yeah, as far as she was the one that seemed to be able to convincingly punch it more than any of the rest of them.
Like losing her glasses or whatever. She seemed to...
Marsha! You know, she just had such emphasis, you know.
Exactly.
Now, she's a pretty good hawk for burgers too. She did that wonderful commercial for Burger Chef, which was like, wow, where'd that come from?
Well, I'll let you close with Family Affair. Why do you like this show? Because a lot of my friends don't really remember it. So why does it stick with you or resonate?
I don't really have an answer for that, except, well, yes, I do. I apologize. Yes, I do. I remember Family Affair was abruptly canceled in 1971, I believe. In its 5th season. And I remember seeing the very last episode on primetime TV. And what I came away with was that it was an attempt at empowering kids. Because the last episode was about a bunch of kids that took over an old junkyard and converted it into an amusement park, into a play park. And I just remember thinking as a kid that was so cool, that that you had that kind of power over things and that kids could make a difference. And what was funny is when I started watching it again in reruns, it started right at that same episode.
Wow.
So I felt like
the kismet.
The circle was unbroken. Yeah, it was like full circle. And then I went and watched the very first episodes, which I'd never seen before, and I watched the whole thing on Tubi. And you know,
you had a crush on one of them,
right? Yeah, not Anissa Jones, even
the older daughter.
Kathy Garver, who ridiculously was already in her 20s, and she's playing a 15-year-old teenager at the time.
Okay, but
yeah, I have a little thing for Kathy Garver, and even now when she does those commercials for the phone that reads out the words for elderly people.
Oh, no.
I still get a little bit of a tingle.
Oh, no. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Marganon.
You're welcome.
Down Pepper Tree Lane. Bye-bye.